So I think I might start. Let's get everybody moving and get this show on the road. My name's Lisa Ransom from the Auckland University of Technology and across the ditch from New Zealand. And I'm going to talk to you today about something called cMALT. cMOOC, Community of Educators and Their Learning Technologies. So let's get right into it so that we can get moving. All right, so if anybody didn't know where Auckland was, it's in the top of the North Island. And AUT has 3 campuses with approximately 2,000 staff and approximately 27,000 students. All right, now I do hear that there's actually a really good rugby team from New Zealand, so that'll be great to see in the next few weeks, if that's a true statement or not. Okay, I've been told I've got to stand still, so I'll try to stand still. Right, cMALT. It's the Certified Member of Association for Learning and Teaching. And what it actually is a portfolio-based professional accreditation scheme developed by ALT, which is the Association for Learning and Teaching, in the UK to enable people whose work involves learning technologies to have their experience and capabilities certified by peers, and also to demonstrate that they're taking a committed and serious approach to the professional learning. You need to be a current member of ALT to do this certification, and your certification needs to be valid for 3 years. The Daring Report in 1997 identified a need for professional learning in higher education. The ALT had applied this to technology-enhanced learning and developed the cMALT accreditation. The cMALT was developed by ALT in 2006 to 2007. Then the accreditation was franchised to Escalite. Has everybody heard of Escalite? Yeah? Okay, in 2011. So what are the key benefits of having a cMALT accreditation? So not only is it for stronger recognition for learning teaching skills and experience, technology-enhanced learning, but demonstrating your commitment and understanding of importance of learning technologies, and transferable skills which can be applied across all educational sectors and industry, and it reflects critically upon your practice and your achievements and your expertise that you have in your disciplines. You can also receive feedback from not only peers, but you can also get accreditation from peers that might be further up. And it actually impacts professional achievements and recruitment or appraisal for using cMALT. It's internationally recognised as a post-nominal and post-nominal letters. Use this. Okay, ALT decided to have a giant leap and to give it a go just to see what would happen. And they wanted to encourage a community of learners to engage with others internationally and to see how this would work. So not only is it for academics, but it's also for professional staff, technical staff, support staff. What else have I got there? And people that are using technology in their way in either their teaching or their support areas. And also in leadership areas. We've had, you'll know Mark Northover that's been wandering around here. He has his cMALT accreditation, and he's our Director of Learning and Teaching, so he's done it as well. So what actually does cMALT involve? Has anybody heard of cMALT? No. cMALT involves doing an e-portfolio of your learning. So for example, the first core area that it has is operational issues. So you demonstrate and understand your use of your learning technologies and examples. An understanding of the constraints and benefits of different technologies and technical knowledge and an ability and the use of technology learning. The example that I had for my core area 1 is when I originally came to AUT, I was asked to teach a group of lecturers how to use iPads in their teaching. It was a group of 30 midwifery staff, and it was a challenge, yes, because considering I hadn't used an iPad before, so it was me learning it first and then transferring those skills over to people that I was teaching. The second core area that is noted is the learning, teaching and or assessment. So it's assessment processes. Some might relate to areas such as teaching experience, learning design, curriculum development, work-based assessment, the creation and execution of a program of training, and so on and so on. Now, because I'm actually in a support role, I have a range of lecturers and disciplines that I work with. And my example that I'm using for my core area 2 is I'm using a sport and recreation lecturer who has peer-to-peer assessments for his students, and they use rubrics and marking grids and assignments, so they're also put into groups for that. So it's her whole process of doing that with her peer assessment and her processes. Also, maybe teaching lecturers how to use different bits in Blackboard. The third core area is the wider context, and it's the legal and the policy area. So it's understanding and engaging with legislation, policies and standards that your universities might have, and how this might relate to your current practice. For example, accessibility, including special education needs, policies and strategies of your institution. The fourth core area that you need to complete is called communication and working with others. So statements could describe the way in which your work involves collaboration, for example, through participation in a team or acting as an interface to other groups. So maybe my support role that I do with the Learning Technologies is part of a big wider group, the Centre for Learning and Teaching, so we're a part of a bigger team, and what I can offer to the bigger team. So the four core areas are the ones that you do for your e-portfolio. You do have a specialist option that you do, and that can reflect your particular expertise. Maybe learner support, accessibility, evaluation, distance learning, blended learning, all those big keywords that are out there at the moment. Maybe something that you're doing with AR, VR, who knows? Your future plans is how you're going to carry on once you've done this e-portfolio. And it's like your professional development. It's an ongoing professional development bit. And once you've done all these core areas, you then get it assessed by a peer, either from somebody from CMALT or somebody from ALT, and there are a list of them on the website. We fortunately have got a CMALT assessor in our department, and he's happy to do assessments for anybody that wants to do it. All right, so what are the key principles that you need to weave through your e-portfolio? Exploring and understanding between technology and learning. Keep up to date with new technologies that happen to be out there. Learn from colleagues, and I've learned quite a bit during my e-portfolio, especially from different disciplines and different backgrounds that people have. And a commitment to communicate and disseminate effective practice. So that needs to be weaved through your portfolio. Any questions so far? All right, well, you can take me at the end. All right, so we know what it needs to do, and so how does AUT do this? How have we decided to take this on board? We have got what we call the CMALT cMOOC. Now, we have a senior academic advisor in our team, a gentleman called Tom Cochrane, who was on sabbatical, and he decided to use this as a project. And it was based in our Centre for Learning and Teaching at AUT, and it was endorsed by ALT and Escalite in 2019, and 2018, sorry. And we run it from our centre, and we run it fully online. But how do we actually run it? And what's the difference between a cMOOC and an XMOOC? Does anybody know the difference between the two? So a cMOOC is delivered by an individual instructor, where students will contribute to actually how it's been run. They're considered teachers, the learners are considered teachers and learners at the same time. And it contains content and promotes interactivity throughout it. Where an XMOOC is an extended multiple online course where you have one instructor to thousands of people, all right? And students don't really interact as much as cMOOC. But the cMOOC, students are actually, and learners are actually able to contribute to it. So we have a cMOOC, and how do we actually run it? What we have is weekly webinars. It's a 7-week cMOOC, and we run it about 3 or 4 times a year, We have weekly webinars with guest speakers. We have a collaborative participation map, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And we used to have Google Plus communities, but now that's no longer there. We introduce the students to, or the learners, to social media, different tools, Twitter hashtags, and we get them to video themselves. We use Moodle rather than Blackboard, and I'll come back to that later on. We have discussion forums that students can do. And we can encourage our members to create a WordPress account to start off with and see if that's the right format or the right environment for them to do their e-portfolio. They may choose to do their own in another software, but we encourage them with WordPress to start off with. We establish online research profiles for the academics. For the non-academic staff, we get them to do a professional online profile, for example, LinkedIn might be one of these things. We'll have continual feedback back to the learners, and we also have boot camps. We can either do those face-to-face or we can do those online with people. So our participants, where are they? Or where in the world are they? So currently we have over 60 participants since we've been running it, with over 2,000 hits since we've been doing it. So this is a participation map that we used, and we got learners to link into there where they actually were. So you can see some we've got in the States, we've got some in England, and yes, we have Australia and New Zealand on the map as well. So we have participants there. And we would like to develop a support network of communities. And these are learning technologists that are interested in exploring the actual accreditation. And we've, as I said, UK, we've also got Japan, Canada as well. And how do we actually run it online? So we have a cMOOC and we have project banks. So you'll notice on these diagrams that I have, you've got the different areas of your e-portfolio, your core areas. The first one is a contextual statement. So it's what is about you. What are you actually doing at the moment in your working life? Are you an academic? Are you an instructor? Are you a support person? So just something personal about yourself. And then we dive into each of the core areas, so the operational issues, the learning, teaching and assessment. And we have project banks. Now, in those project banks, we have people that have already done their cMALT that would like to share their cMALT with us. For each of the areas, examples of different things that learners can look at, and we showcase some of the really good ones. So that's our 7-week kind of plan, and for those 7 weeks, as I said, we have a weekly webinar. We discuss each core area. All right, we get students to video themselves as well. So what are some of the tools that we actually use in the 7 weeks? Well, here's a preview of them. So here we have our community in the middle, and you'll recognise some of these icons around the outside. So we use Twitter. We used to use Google Hangouts, but that's since been dropped, and we now use Zoom. We use YouTube to do our webinars, and you can see we've got the little Moodle icon down there. We use Moodle for some of the discussions we have. Google Maps, discussion forums, WordPress, and does anybody know what that ID one is on the top left-hand corner? AUK ID. AUK ID. All right, so that's for researching. You can put your things online. So this is kind of our map of what we do. We do blogs, we do, as I said, WordPress, we do project banks, we do Google Docs. So we introduce staff to perhaps software that they haven't used before. Oops. And we also introduce them to what happens if a software disappears, for example, Google Hangouts, right? Or a website doesn't work anymore, or a tool that we're trying to use. How do we handle moving to a new one? And most of the time it's been really, really positive of that move. Right, now I was going to give you some examples on YouTube and play the next 3 examples, but unfortunately in YouTube we can't get through this wireless, so the Wi-Fi here, so I'll just tell you about some of these weekly webinars that we have. So the gentleman we've got here is Dr. Neil Cowie from Japan, and he teaches students how to speak English. So he uses a website called duolingo.com with his students, and he presented this in a weekly webinar to us for about 20 minutes of our 30-minute webinars that we do. And we had hangouts at that particular stage. And you can see he's had a bit of a hit of 526 on his daily digest that he does with his students, and he uses the duolingo.com to help his students out. Now, I can give you links to all these webinars after the sessions if you'd like to listen to them a bit further. One of the other gentlemen that we had was a gentleman called Dr. Brendan Wood, who is one of our senior paramedics, and he's based in the South Island of New Zealand. And he uses a lot of a lot of apps for paramedics and St John's for critical care, and also things like finding out where defibrillators were in the city and things like that. Now, that was particularly important when we had the Christchurch earthquake not so long ago. They were able to find out where all these different bits of equipment were if they needed to. And that webinar is actually really good to listen to, so I'm happy to forward that one to you as well. And somebody local, well, fairly local, in Bond University, Dr. James Burton and Michael Cowling. They did a webinar on mobile immersive reality, and they talked about technology gamification. So it was actually a really good webinar to listen to as well, and I'll send the links through for that. So we take Australians, we do New Zealand, we do Japan, we do across the world. Okay, so just an example of our Twitter feed that we have. So we have the Dr. Cowie talking about his cMALT and the diagram in the middle, and we use Twitter feed quite a bit. Just a couple of examples of the cMALT e-portfolios that two people have done, and you can also Google these and you'll find them. One from Matt and another one from, I think that was I can't remember the lady's name, but it was also a very, very good one to actually have a look at. So why was our cMOOC effective? Or why is it effective? We not only have a community of learning from across internationally, and we're able to share a range of technology that's being used. We introduced learners to new technologies, and to be able to help people recognise their expertise, their achievements, and get them through the cMALT. Our community of practice with some of their learners and extended past the cMOOC or cMALT that they did, and they made new connections and networks were made. The use of social media tools opened learners' eyes and gave them new meaning. This particular picture that you're seeing is from a survey we did from the end of our first lot of cMOOC. So you see social media tools were used, and over half had fair, agree and strong comments about how it helped them learn, share and use the tools. And these are just a couple of comments from people that have done the cMALT. So it was a way to process their learning and teaching, and one of them hadn't quite finished, but the sections have given them rich food for thought, reflection and further follow-up reading. Now, I'm about halfway through my cMALT, and yes, it is a journey. It's a journey when you're a support person, because you're trying to support so many people as well as doing your cMALT. But it's given me new thought and made it enrich what I'm actually doing. So it has benefited me. I've just got to get it finished and hopefully have it finished by the end of the year so that I can get it set off to assessors. But yes, it does take a little time, but it makes you think about what you're actually doing and who you're supporting. And of course, once you finish your cMALT, you do get a bit of enjoyment of a recognition, whether it be a celebration at a conference that we have, which is called SOTEL, which is a Scholarship of Technology Enhanced Learning, sorry for a bit of advertising there, or whether we celebrate online with you, maybe with a complimentary glass of virtual wine. But you also end up with a certificate, which you actually put on the front of your e-portfolio. All right? And that QR code there is the QR code to cMALT. So happy to put that up there for you. All right, so very quickly through our program that we run, and we're more than happy to talk to you later, maybe over after the awards or after the session, and I can tell you a bit more about it and give you some more examples. So I'll just leave this one here, just in case it happens. Sorry, just had to put it there, you know. All right, so if there's any questions.
Hi, I'm very keen to become a member of MALT and do the CMALT. My question now is, when you get that certificate, is it lifetime or you have to renew it?
So you need to renew it every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years. But it is actually quite good. We've got people that says 3 years, and it's actually really good. It makes you really think about what you're doing. Originally, for what you put in.
Thank you very much.
Right.
How is doing that different from a master's? So I'm currently doing a master's of education, and a lot of what you talked about is what we're doing in the course that I'm in. But of course, I don't have to do the course again in 3 years. But
it's not really, it's a certificate you've just got to renew.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually go through the whole course,
Oh,
you
right.
just have to renew your certificate and get it reassessed.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's kind of being a member of Alton, it's not really sort of recognised in that kind of area. Yeah. But it might link into your masters if you've got that certificate. So
I've only just started.
yeah.
But a lot of the networking and the portfolio and the blog and everything you talked about, a lot of the things that I'm actually doing online, and the multiple use of tech.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
interesting.
But,
Yeah.
happy to talk with you about that. Right, any questions? Right, thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll catch up out here.